Welcome to the September edition of the IoT Security Foundation monthly webinar series. My name's Chris, and as always, we've got a brilliant broadcast ahead for the next 60 minutes. A bit later on, I'll be telling you all about the 2024 IoTSF conference, which takes place in London in less than a month, but a little bit further away in the year, in December, the black tie event of the year will be happening again in London. It's the TechWorks Awards and Gala Dinner, and one of the categories in particular will be of great interest. It's the IoTSF Cybersecurity Leadership Award, which recognizes an innovative product or service demonstrating step change improvement in IoT security and protection to customers, businesses, and the wider connected ecosystem. Go to techworksawards.com to apply for this prestigious award, and you don't need to be affiliated with TechWorks or the IoTSF to be able to apply. So our first speaker today is also going to be presenting at the 2024 IoTSF conference in London next month. He is CTO of OneKey. He is Florian Lukavsky. Florian is heavily involved with the IoTSF, in particular the Regulatory Watch Working Group. He is going to be representing that working group at the conference during the session entitled IoT Security Compliance, Navigating the Regulatory Landscape. Now, to be clear, today's presentation isn't the one that you'll see at the conference. This is something completely separate and exclusive to this webinar. It's the second time that Florian has presented on this webinar. The first occasion was in April 2023, when he took us through the European CRA. So this legislation is coming, and everybody needs to be ready now, as it could be that when the rules come into force, your product might not be compliant. Now, there's a slight change to the format with this month's broadcast. We'll be doing a Q&A with Florian straight after his presentation. So if you have any questions on the European CRA, or have any questions that you think Florian will possibly know the answer to on the CRA, and there is a lot of confusion over the legislation, then put them in the Zoom chat and we'll ask questions straight after the presentation. We'll also have Amitesh Kumar of Honeywell coming up soon with Bridging the Gap, IT versus OT Security and Lessons from Major Cyber Attacks. But now from Vienna, Florian, the floor is yours.
And I should unmute myself. Hello, everyone. Very warm welcome also from my side. Let me share my screen with you. So Chris was kind enough to introduce me already, and he also mentioned that in 2023 I gave an initial overview already of the Cyber Resilience Act. Now that there have been some adoptions, some changes with the Cyber Resilience Act, and it's across the corner to be entered into force any day now, I thought this would be a good occasion to revisit the topic, to see or to spread awareness again, and also to see what some of the items that may have changed. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We will be having a Q&A at the end of my session to also run through some of the questions that you may have. But before we dive into the Cyber Resilience Act, I want to take a moment just to give you an overview of the broader landscape when we look into the EU cybersecurity strategy. So in the past decade, or more than a decade, actually, we have seen cybersecurity tightening, or regulation around cybersecurity tightening in the European Union, for a regulation for many different industries like automotive, aviation, etc. A regulation for artificial intelligence, for digital identities. We have seen regulation for critical infrastructure, for banking, insurance industries. We have seen regulation about privacy. So the GDPR is probably one of the best known regulations that was produced by the European Union, and the EU Cyber Resilience Act is kind of the newest kid on the block. So this is a product regulation putting cybersecurity requirements on products, also called products with digital elements, as they are referred to in the Cyber Resilience Act. Yeah, but what is actually the purpose of the Cyber Resilience Act? So there's two main goals that the European Commission is trying to achieve with the Cyber Resilience Act. So on the one side, they have identified that there's multiple billions of damage each year caused by cyber attacks, caused by insecure products, by vulnerabilities in products that are being exploited by adversaries. So goal number one is to up the level of security of products with digital elements, to make sure that they are released on the market with less vulnerabilities, and also to make sure that that security is maintained across the life cycle of the. So this is goal number one, to have more secure products, basically. And goal number two is to also increase transparency around this. So security is very abstract. It's difficult to measure it. You can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't feel it. So you kind of have to rely on the manufacturers to be transparent about the security. So to state, for example, what kind of security level they have designed, to what kind of purpose their products are built for. And also if there are any vulnerabilities, to be transparent with that, to provide patches, to provide security advisories, to provide information on risk, etc., so that you can also make well-educated decisions, not only in the buying stage, so if you're buying the right product for your purpose, but that you can also make informed decisions during operation of your device. So if there's an emergency patch and you need to update immediately, or if it's just a low risk issue that you can patch with your next regular maintenance interval. So this is the second goal, to also increase transparency about cybersecurity. So in a nutshell, the Cyber Resilience Act, it's a list of rules, a list of requirements in terms of cybersecurity for hardware and software that is placed on the European market. And it also consists of obligations that manufacturers, but also importers and distributors of products with digital elements will need to adhere to. So this is the first time that manufacturers of software, manufacturers of connected devices actually become liable for security in their product. And goal is to provide secure products, to maintain a high level of security, so to also maintain vulnerability management, and to also report any vulnerabilities that are exploited to ENISA, so to central organizations, to central authorities within the European Union. So with this overview, let's dive in a little bit deeper. So also to see the timeline when things will be affected. So the first draft was released back in 2022. Beginning of 2023, we had a discussion on the first draft. In the meantime, there have been a lot of comments, some revisions, etc. Beginning of 2024, or in March 2024, the Cyber Resilience Act passed the EU Parliament and is now waiting to come into force. So once the EU Parliament is back together and things after the elections have been sorted out again, I believe that the Cyber Resilience Act will be enacted sometime in Q4 2024. After that, there will be a 21-month grace period for any reporting requirements. So to report exploited vulnerabilities, to incidents that may have an impact on the security of your products to the ENISA, and there will be a 36 months grace period for all the remaining requirements. So basically by end of 2027, you will need to fully comply with all the obligations from the Cyber Resilience Act. Good news though is that there's also a grandfather clause in the Cyber Resilience Act. So the requirements from the Cyber Resilience Act will only apply to new products put on the market in the European. But what are we actually talking about in the Cyber Resilience Act? So I already mentioned products with digital elements. So products with digital elements, these can be software or hardware products, which are equipped with some kind of network connectivity, and also include remote data processing solutions. So any backend APIs, for example, that are required for a product to function properly, they will also be in scope of the Cyber Resilience. So the scope is very broad. It's a horizontal. It's a horizontal act, so affecting digital products with digital elements across industries, ranging from hardware such as laptops, mobile devices, smart appliances, etc., but also all the wearables, smart home devices, connectivity devices, routers, switches, etc. So everything that has some kind of network connectivity is connected to another system will be in scope of the Cyber Resilience Act. But the scope doesn't stop there. It also covers pure software products. And this is a first. Those are items that were previously unregulated, and these will be now subject to the Cyber Resilience Act as well. So anything any piece of software that requires network communication, and if it's only to do a application update, will need to comply with the Cyber Resilience Act. Anything from games to desktop applications, mobile apps, operating systems, etc., will be in scope of the Cyber Resilience Act. In fact, there's only very few items that are out of scope. One being open source software, for example, if they're used in a non-commercial manner. Also, if you have pure cloud or SaaS solutions, they will not be subject to the Cyber Resilience Act unless they serve as a remote data processing solution. And other industries that are regulated already, such as medical devices, automotive, aviation, etc. They don't need to comply with the Cyber Resilience Act because there's stricter regulation in place already. And finally, also products that are purely built for national security or for military purposes, they will not be subject to the Cyber Resilience Act. The secrecy and confidentiality requirements around those products contradict the transparency requirements from the Cyber Resilience Act. Therefore, they are out of scope. And the assumption of the European Commission is that there will be higher security requirements for such applications or for such products anyway. There's different, or the Cyber Resilience Act differentiates between various product classes. And the differentiation is not made in terms of requirements, in terms of obligations, So all products need to comply with the same or to the same obligations, but there's difference in terms of how conformity can be assured. So if we look at the default product class, so basically everything else, here it will be sufficient to conduct a self-assessment, basically to state that you have fulfilled the requirements from the Cyber Resilience Act and sign it, publish the required information, statement of conformity, and you will be good to go. And for important products with digital elements class 1, so this involves like network management solutions, routers, modems, operating systems, smart home assistants, etc. There you need to demonstrate that you comply with harmonized standards. So as part of the Cyber Resilience Act, there will also be new standards released. They will most likely be similar to what we know from ETSI EN 303645, for example, or IEC 62443. So those are likely candidates that will serve as blueprints to those harmonized standards. So there will be one for each product class, and you will need to demonstrate compliance. Then for important products with digital elements class 2, which involves firewalls, temporal-assistant microcontrollers, hypervisors, container runtimes, etc. Here you will need to demonstrate third-party conformity assessment. And finally, for critical products, which only involves smart meter gateways, smart cards, and so-called hardware devices with security boxes. Here you will need to get certified for these products, and also these certification schemes are currently being worked out under the cybersecurity. And yeah, but as mentioned, and one sorry for the brief pause. And yeah, as mentioned, the obligations remain the same, just the way in which conformity can be demonstrated differ. So if we look further, what are the penalties? So for this, the Cyber Resilience Act used the GDPR as a blueprint, and yeah, has imposes similar fines than that. So here, also for non-compliance with the central articles 13 and 14. So those are the obligations for manufacturers. If those are violated, fines are either 15 million or 2.5% of the annual global revenue, whichever is greater. And this is slightly reduced if other clauses are violated or if information is just misrepresented. But what do we actually have to do? And for this, we will look into a short case study. I'm sure every one of you will know Wayne Enterprise, which is headquartered in Gotham City under the rule of Bruce Wayne. And there's a lot of companies in this conglomerate. Many of them are regulated already in automotive, in military, etc. But if we look at Wayne Electronics, there's actually a lot of products that will fall under the scope of the Cyber Resilience Act, such as networking devices, surveillance equipment, etc. So based on the Cyber Resilience Act, there's two main areas that, or two main areas of impact for Wayne Electronics. So on the one side, we have activities that will need to be predominantly carried out by the development department. And on the other side, we have activities that affect the PCERT team of Wayne Electronics. And something that is very central to the Cyber Resilience Act and also has to be done across the entire life cycle of a product is a risk assessment. And this is also very important to note and to keep in mind that the Cyber Resilience Act imposes risk-based requirements. So you have a lot of a certain freedom also to maneuver around certain requirements based on your risk assessment, based on the assumptions, based on the preconditions that you define in your risk assessment. But nonetheless, you have to follow secure by design principles. So security needs to be something that needs to be designed into the product from the very beginning. For every supplier, for every open source component, for every dependency, you will need to do a third-party due diligence to make sure that the security of this imported library will also fulfill your security requirements. You will need to, and this ties into the transparency topics. You will also need to publish and maintain user information. You will also need to keep technical documentation for the regulators. This you will also need to keep for 10 years after the been taken off the market. So this needs to be available to the regulators for quite a long time. And yeah, before placing the product on the market, you will need to conduct the product conformity assessment. But this is not where the obligations stop. The obligations continue throughout the product lifecycle while the product is on the market. So you will need to demonstrate a vulnerability management. You also need to have processes to report vulnerabilities that are actively exploited to European authorities. So to also give them the possibility to better react and to defend against large-scale cyber attacks, so that they are aware of any vulnerabilities in products that are currently being exploited within the European Union. And finally, you also need to maintain interfaces to the research community, to your customers, to also make processes available, contacts available for coordinated vulnerability disclosure, so that researchers as well as clients can also notify you about vulnerabilities in your products, and you can react to that accordingly. During the assessment with Wayne Electronics, it was determined that vulnerability management was one of the items that they were lacking. So for this, just to pick one example of the many obligations out of the Cyber Resilience Act. So for this, they would need means to identify and document vulnerabilities that affect them. They also need to address and remediate vulnerabilities and to provide updates for this. And this update providing this vulnerability management is also something that may impact go-to-market strategies, pricing strategies that will have a big business impact, because those updates they need to be provided free of charge. There's only one exception. If you provide tailor-made solutions in a B2B context, then you're exempt from the free update obligation. For standard products, you will need to factor this into your pricing strategy, that over the entire product lifecycle, you will be obliged to provide free of charge security. And as mentioned previously already, there's also transparency requirements, so detailing risks, detailing the impact of vulnerabilities in security advisories will be demanded, and there's also requirements to regularly perform tests to make sure that your products is still keeping up with latest developments within security, and that security of your product doesn't deteriorate. Yeah, and after implementing all those requirements into the vulnerability management processes, Wayne Electronics is finally free to export its devices to the European Union again. And yeah, final final thoughts, because I mentioned that there have been some changes to previous drafts. So if you have been following the Cyber Resilience Act for some time already, this is important. If it's the first time that you hear about the Cyber Resilience Act today, then close your ears. It will only cause confusion. But yeah, compared to previous drafts, product classes have been shuffled around. Important product class has been introduced. Also previously, there were many industrial devices classified as critical devices. They have now been changed to default category. Grace periods have been extended based on industry feedback. Also, the support period has changed. So initially, it was mentioned as maximum of 5 years. Now it's referred to as minimum 5 years, or the expected product lifetime. There have been some changes in terms of reporting. So no longer to ENISA directly, but to local CSERT organizations, which need to be established in the European member states. And finally, also there have been a lot of clarifications around open source, and also that open source stewards will be exempt from any fines under the Cyber Resilience. Yeah, and with this being said, I would like to open the floor for some questions before handing over to Armitage.
I think with the Joker Foley adieu coming out very soon, Wayne Enterprises was a very topical touch. Thank you very much, Florian. If you've got any questions for Florian and you're watching this live, put them in the Zoom chat now and we'll ask them. You can also make comments and observations. Just before we do that, very quickly, the 2024 IoTSF conference will take place in less than a month on Wednesday, the 23rd of October at London's IET. The closest tube stations are Covent Garden and Embankment. We'll have 10 sessions with over 50 speakers and panelists, alongside plenty of networking, food and drinks, which are all provided to suit all dietary requirements. We'll have speakers from NIST, Jaguar Land Rover, Siemens, the Cherry Alliance, Thales, Device Authority. We've got people flying in from as far as the USA and Australia. If you're an IoTSF corporate member, tickets are free. If you're a professional IoTSF member, tickets are heavily discounted. And if you're a non-IoTSF member, ticket details are available via iotsfconference.com. And it's also there that you'll find all of the details for the 10th edition of the world's longest running event dedicated to IoT security. That's the IoTSF 2024 conference in London on Wednesday, the 23rd of October, less than a month away. So let's get Florian's Q&A underway. And as is customary, Florian, I'll start with one or two questions of my own. If you only write a mobile app, would you still have to comply with the European CRA?
Yeah. It depends a little bit. So if it's just a mobile app to turn on or off the flashlight without any network connectivity, then no. But as soon as you load any ads, as soon as you have any network connectivity, connect to any other devices, any remote data processing solutions, then you will also be in scope with your mobile app, yes.
Okay. David asks, how far up the design chain does CRA go? It's clear that electronic devices running SW, such as IoT devices, will be subject to this act, but what about the semiconductors that are shipped to Europe, where those products are manufactured? Maybe with an SDK, or other software libraries, will these also need to be compliant, or is it purely the end product companies that need to ensure compliance?
It depends a little bit. So in principle, the Cyber Resilience Act goes all the way up the supply chain. However, if the device is assembled and built outside the European Union, then of course the Cyber Resilience Act does not apply to dependencies, to parts of this product that are sourced outside the European Union, but only on the products that are shipped to the European Union. But if we look at the also at the product category, the idea is also the idea that that can be seen is that there's also bigger like focus put on products that form the foundation. So operating systems, they're classified as important products with digital elements. So they have higher assurance requirements, or the security chips, smart cards, etc. They are classified as critical, so they will need certification. So the idea here is also to support the supply chain, to make sure that if you build devices assembled of other components that are already subject to the Cyber Resilience Act, that you can have it easier during the due diligence, and that you also have more assurance that the components you're using will be meeting your security requirements as well.
Okay, thanks for the question, David. Florian, if you comply with UK PSTI, will you still have to comply with the European CRA?
Yes, I mean, you will have completed parts of the requirements of the Cyber Resilience Act already, but the CE mark, which essentially will be extended with the Cyber Resilience Act, you will still need to get it to place any products on the European market. However, there's discussions ongoing between US and Europe, and probably also UK and Europe, to find ways to work together, and also to use each other's regulatory frameworks, so that things can be put on the market quicker, with less with less regulatory burden.
Okay, thanks for that. If you're one of the companies that are baffled by the CRA, where can you get help?
Yep, I mean, there's a lot of resources where you can help. Also, as part of the IoTSF working groups, we have created a paper on the Cyber Resilience Act, where you can find information, where we point to additional resources. So this will be published before or on the IoTSF conference. Also feel free to reach out to professionals such as ourselves. Always happy to help, to assist you with implementing processes, with getting assurance that your devices meet the requirements of the Cyber Resilience Act.
All right, thank you very much, Florian. You are a busy man. You have got a full diary, so I know you've got to go now, but thank you so much, Florian, for joining us today. Good to see you again. And I guess I'll see you in a few weeks' time in London for the conference, Florian. So nice to have you along today, and thank you very much for that presentation. And like I say, I'll see you again soon. We'll all see you at the 2024 conference, Florian. Thank you.